Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Explainer. I am so thrilled you're here with us today because we are tackling a topic that is literally everywhere right now. You honestly can't open a browser, read a business article, or even just check your phone without running into the acronym ML. But what does it actually mean in practice today in 2026? Well, we're going to completely demystify it for you. We're going to strip away all the heavy jargon, look at the actual tools developers are using, and really explore the massive real-world impact this technology is having right this very second. Okay, let's dive right into this. Our roadmap for today is pretty straightforward. First, we're disambiguating ML. Then we'll look at the conceptual hierarchy, check out the 2026 Python toolkit, explore ML in clinical trials, and wrap things up with the future of ML ops. Kicking things off with Section 1, disambiguating ML. Much love, milliliters, or machine learning. So depending on who you're talking to, ML can mean completely different things, right? If you're texting a close friend, it's probably a casual sign-off for much love or my love. If you're talking sports, it's obviously Major League, like Major League Baseball. Into gaming, it's the super popular mobile game Mobile Legends. If you're standing in a chemistry lab or just reading a recipe, it's milliliters, the metric unit of volume. But in the tech world, in business meetings, and in academic papers, it stands for machine learning. And what you're seeing right here just brilliantly illustrates our double meaning for the day. This is the F statistic. Whether you are in a high-tech metrology lab calibrating physical milliliters of water, which is pretty standard in gravimetric calibration, or you are a data scientist testing the performance and variance of a predictive machine learning model, mathematical variance is at the absolute core of both. It is literally all about measuring how far our data deviates from the expected norm. But for the rest of this explainer, we're going to focus strictly on the tech definition. Machine learning is a branch of artificial intelligence that enables systems to learn from data, identify patterns, and actually improve their performance over time. Now, the absolute key phrase here to remember is without being explicitly programmed. Instead of a human sitting there writing a fixed rule for every single possible scenario, we just feed the algorithm past data and it learns the rules all by itself. Pretty cool, right? Moving right along to Section 2, the conceptual hierarchy, AI versus ML versus DL. The best way to think about this is like a set of Russian nesting dolls. Artificial intelligence is the biggest, outermost doll. It's the broad umbrella covering anything that mimics human reasoning, planning, and problem solving. So this includes old-school, rule-based systems and physical robotics like that famous Sophia robot. Now, machine learning is the next doll tucked inside. It's a much narrower, heavily data-driven subset of AI. It relies strictly on historical, structured data to learn. Think about the recommendations you get on Netflix. That's classic ML in action. It still requires a lot of human input to label the datasets and kind of guide the learning process. Now, if we open up that ML doll, we find deep learning, or DL, right at the very center. While traditional ML needs nicely organized, structured data, think neat little spreadsheets, deep learning takes it a massive step further. It uses incredibly complex, multi-layered artificial neural networks that are actually inspired by the human brain. It extracts features entirely on its own from really messy, unstructured data. We're talking images, audio files, raw text. This takes massive computational power, huge arrays of GPUs, and it's the engine that powers things like self-driving cars and advanced facial recognition. Okay, let's look at Section 3, the 2026 Python Toolkit, Building the ML Stack. Building an ML project is a highly sequential process. Step 1 is always data wrangling. You simply cannot skip this. Libraries like Pandas and NumPy are totally foundational here. In fact, practically speaking, 60 to 80% of a project's time is spent right here, just cleaning and prepping the data. Step 2, if you're dealing with traditional structured data, is scikit-learn. It is the absolute industry standard for your everyday classification and regression tasks. Finally, Step 3. If you're diving into deep learning or natural language processing, this is where powerhouses like PyTorch and Hugging Face come in to handle those heavy neural networks and massive pre-trained language models. Honestly, choosing the right tool depends entirely on your specific data type. If you've got tabular data, like a massive Excel spreadsheet, XGBoost is the undisputed king for accuracy right now in 2026. Working on image classification, you absolutely want PyTorch. For text, natural language processing, or fine-tuning those huge language models we keep hearing about, Hugging Face Transformers is your best bet. And if you're trying to deploy a model directly to a smartphone or some other edge device, TensorFlow Lite is the industry standard. It's all about matching the specific tool to the specific task you're trying to accomplish. All right, shifting gears to Section 4, ML and clinical trials. moving from abstract code to saving lives. Take a second and just look at this staggering number, $1.4 billion. Yeah, with a B. That is the potential financial loss that can hit a company from just a single failed clinical trial. And traditionally, these trials fail for two huge reasons: clunky operational technology and the sheer nightmare of recruiting the right patients in time. The pharmaceutical industry is pouring more money into R&D than ever before, but somehow fewer drugs are making it to the market simply because the trial process itself has become this massive, incredibly expensive bottleneck. Now, what's truly revolutionary here is how large language models are completely flipping that paradigm. There's a system called TrialGPT, and it's being used right now to parse through mountains of patient data and these absurdly complex trial requirements. It literally assesses patient eligibility criterion by criterion. In tests, it hit an 87.3% accuracy rate. That is practically identical to expert human physicians, who usually score somewhere between 88 and 90%. By automating this matching process, TrialGPT has slashed real-world trial screening times by an incredible 42.6%. We're talking years of saved time and millions upon millions in saved resources. It's a total game changer.
And the crazy part is, it doesn't stop at recruitment. Once a trial is actually running, monitoring patient safety is absolutely critical. For example, the global life science company Bayer is using ML to process hundreds of thousands of adverse event reports every single day. A huge chunk of this data comes in as super messy, unstructured free text. Think quick emails or transcriptions from phone calls. Natural language processing algorithms can instantly read, understand, and flag potential safety risks hidden in all that unstructured data, which allows clinicians to jump in and intervene way earlier than a slow, manual human review process would ever allow.
Which brings us to our final stop, Section 5, the future of MLOps: execution, maintenance, and strategy. I absolutely love this quote from the 2026 Industry Trend Reports. Machine learning is no longer a side project. It is part of the core system. When it fails, the product fails with it. Let that sink in. Deploying a model isn't crossing the finish line anymore. It's literally just the starting gun. Having operational maturity with your AI is the new competitive advantage. So, the harsh reality is that a model working flawlessly in a perfectly controlled testing sandbox can behave totally unpredictably out in the real world. MLOps, or machine learning operations, is all about establishing strict, reliable safeguards. Teams have to track performance over time because, let's face it, user behavior evolves and data changes constantly. They have to handle the dreaded latency when a system suddenly scales from 100 users to 1 million overnight. And maybe most importantly, they have to build robust fallback mechanisms for when the AI inevitably encounters something weird that it just doesn't understand.
Let's bring our earlier metaphor full circle here. Just like scientists use control charts and t-statistics to map out drift and standard deviation when they're calibrating physical volumes like milliliters over time, MLOps engineers have to use statistical monitoring to chart data drift. They are continually measuring if the real-world data is drifting away from the original data the model was actually trained on. If you ignore that statistical variance, your system isn't going to break with a loud alarm. It's just going to quietly, confidently fail.
We have covered a ton of ground today, right? From the basic definitions of ML and the specific Python tools you need, to massive, life-saving applications in precision medicine, and finally, the really rigorous demands of MLOps. But as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this final kind of provocative thought. Tasks that used to take us hours now literally take minutes. As machine learning increasingly takes over the heavy lifting of raw execution and analysis, how is your own role going to evolve? How will you choose to spend your newly freed up time on strategy, on validation, and on creative problem solving? Think about that as you continue your learning journey. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you next time.